फ्रेंड्स, माय रिटायर्ड लाइफ फाउंडेशन की तरफ से आप लोगों का स्वागत है आज की सबकी सुनो प्रोग्राम के लिए। जैसे कि सब लोगों को मालूम ही है कि मेंबर्स को दैट सबकी सुनो गिव्स ए प्लेटफॉर्म टू ऑल ऑफ अस टू एक्सप्रेस आवर व्यूज on various issues in the world. We can say whatever we like to say because that's very important to say and to listen to the views of the others. So that's the idea for which this Sabki Suno program was conceptualized, and it's going uh, quite to our satisfaction as of today. And I'm sure that all the members are getting motivated to speak, and that's a good thing. So to start this program today, may I request हमारे पहले जो कलाकार हैं साथी जो है भारत भूषण जी, उनसे आग्रह करता कि आए और अपना व्यक्त विचार करें। भारत भूषण,
मेरी आवाज आ रही है क्या?
आ रही है।
आदरणीय मित्रों, सबकी सुनो कार्यक्रम में उपस्थित आप सभी को मैं हृदय से नमन और अभिनंदन करता हूं। मैं आदरणीय डॉक्टर सेन गुप्ता जी का बहुत बहुत आभारी हूं कि आज उन्होंने मुझे अपने मन की बात कहने का एक अवसर आपके सामने प्रस्तुत किया। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आदरणीय डॉक्टर सेन गुप्ता सर। साथियों, आप जानते हैं कि आज महाशिवरात्रि है। इस पावन अवसर पर मैं आप सभी को बधाई एवं शुभकामनाएं देते हुए भगवान शिव से सभी के मंगल में कल्याण की कामना करता हूं। भगवान शिव की कृपा आप सभी के ऊपर बनी रहे। अब मैं आज के विषय पर आता हूं। साथियों, इस समय हमारे देश में जो महत्वपूर्ण घटनाक्रम चल रहा है, उनमें एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण घटना है विधानसभा के चुनाव। कुछ जगह चुनाव हो चुके हैं, कुछ जगह हो रहे हैं और कुछ जगह होने वाले हैं। चुनाव साथियों कहीं भी हों, कैसे भी हों, चाहे वो लोकसभा के हों, विधानसभा के हों, चाहे नगर निगम के हों या नगर पंचायत के हों, सब चुनावों का एक ही परिणाम होता है और वो ये कि या तो कैंडिडेट जीत जाता है या कैंडिडेट हार जाता है। दो ही रिजल्ट आते हैं। अभी हमारे चुनाव के रिजल्ट आने वाले हैं, लेकिन मैंने एक बहुत छोटी सी रचना के माध्यम से दोनों कैंडिडेट्स के मनोभावों को दिखाने का प्रयास किया है, हारे हुए कैंडिडेट का भी और जीते हुए कैंडिडेट का भी। एक ये मेरी कल्पना मात्र है। हो गए चुनाव संपन्न दिखाकर नूतन नए नजारे, हो गए चुनाव संपन्न दिखाकर नूतन नए नजारे। कुछ के चेहरे चमक उठे लेकिन मायूस हुए जो हारे, मायूस हुए जो हारे। शुरू होगा अब फिर से सत्ता की खातिर खेल, शुरू होगा अब फिर से सत्ता की खातिर खेल। दिल तो अक्सर मिल नहीं पाते, कुर्सी करवा देती है मेल, कुर्सी करवा देती है मेल। खुद को सच्चा वारिस कहते, खुद को सच्चा वारिस कहते, दूजों को कहते हैं झूठा। लोकतंत्र की गरिमा को सबने मिलकर ऐसे है लूटा। हार गए हैं जो चुनाव में, हार गए हैं जो चुनाव में, फिर रहे हैं मुंह को छिपाए, फिर रहे हैं मुंह को छिपाए। मेहरबान हो जाए किस्मत फिर से अगर चुनाव हो जाए, फिर से अगर चुनाव हो जाए। विजयी हुए हैं जो सबके, विजयी हुए हैं जो सबके, चेहरे की अनुपम छटा निराली। निस्दिन ही सपना देखे मिल जाए मंत्री पद की थाली, मंत्री पद की थाली। कहते फिरते भूलो सब पिछला, आओ गले लग जाओ। शीश नवाता हूँ चरणों में, बस मंत्री पद मुझे दिलाओ। मन ही मन वादा करते हैं वापस लौट के ना आएंगे, 5 बरस तक जनता को भी शक्ल न अपनी दिखलाएंगे। पहले अपना पेट भरेंगे, फिर अपना सारा परिवार। आस लगाए बैठे हैं कब से सारे रिश्ते और नातेदार। लोकतंत्र की बगिया देश में यूं ही लहराती जाए। देश की चिंता नहीं है इनको, दामन बस इनका भरता जाए। 3 लोक के पालन करता, ऐसे लोगों से हमें बचाना। 3 लोक के पालन करता, ऐसे लोगों से हमें बचाना। आजादी का मूल्य देश को पड़ जाए ना फिर से चुकाना, पड़ जाए ना फिर से चुकाना। अंतर मन की इस उलझन को, अंतर मन की इस उलझन को हे ईश्वर सुलझा दो। एक प्रश्न गूंजा है मन में, उत्तर उसका बतला दो, उत्तर उसका बतला दो। कौन कलम से लिखी थी तुमने, कौन कलम से लिखी थी तुमने भारत माता की तकदीर। सत्ता मिलते ही समझ रहे हैं देश को यह अपनी जागीर, देश को यह अपनी जागीर। स्वच्छ प्रशासन मिले सभी को, इनसे हमने है आस लगाई। ऐसा कोई काम करे ना जग में हो जिससे रुसवाई। लोकतंत्र की गरिमा समझे, मर्यादित हो जाएं सारे। लोकतंत्र की गरिमा समझे, मर्यादित हो जाएं सारे। विघ्न हरे बुद्धि के दाता, लक्ष्मी आए खुद चल कर द्वारे। लक्ष्मी आए खुद चल कर द्वारे, लक्ष्मी आए खुद चल कर द्वारे। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद भारत भूषण जी। आपने तो इलेक्शन और इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव का पैरोडी करके बहुत ही, इट वाज अ गुड सटायर and it's a mockery of democracy which is happening in our country as of today, at least by many of the elected representatives. It's a good recall to clean the political system. There's a need for all the clean the political system so that we usher into the true democracy. सच्चा डेमोक्रेसी जिसको बोलते हैं, जिससे कि रिप्रेजेंटेटिव जो है हमारी सेवा कर सके। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर रिमाइंडिंग दैट। मैं नेक्स्ट पादान पर आमंत्रित करता हूं हमारे प्यारे मित्र रमनी अय्यर जी को। रमनी अय्यर साहब प्लीज कम।
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Okay. Good evening, friends. Today, I propose to share with you the story of Shakuni, the most hated character of Mahabharata. After the war, Yudhishthira asked Sri Krishna as to who was the real winner of the 18-day war. Sri Krishna promptly answered, the winner was Shakuni, who achieved his objective by clever strategy and manipulation. Let us see how Shakuni became the winner. Gandhar was a small kingdom ruled by Subala, who had a daughter Gandhari and 5 sons, the youngest being Shakuni. When Gandhari was born, astrologers predicted that Gandhari's first husband will die, but her second husband will live long and bring fortune to the whole family. Heeding to the advice of the astrologers, Subala got her married off to a goat when Gandhari was just a kid. Subsequently, the goat died. Technically, Gandhari's first husband was dead and she could expect fortunes by marrying again. Everyone treated this as a trivial matter which was forgotten for many years. After a few years, Gandhari had grown up to be a young princess when Bhishma landed up in Gandhar with the matrimonial proposal of Dhritarashtra to be married to Gandhari. The royal Gandhars felt very angry and insulted that Bhishma was asking their princess Gandhari to marry Dhritarashtra, who was a blind person. At the same time, they were quite conscious of the fact that Bhishma was from Hastinapur, which was a mighty kingdom, and refusing the proposal of a mighty king was very similar to being suicidal. So they were left with no choice but to accept the proposal of Bhishma. Helpless Gandhari understood the situation and volunteered to marry Dhritarashtra and decided to blindfold herself throughout her married life. However, King Subala and his sons were very angry and they vowed to eliminate Bhishma and the entire Kaurava clan as a revenge. Years passed by. One day, through some gossip, Bhishma came to know that Dhritarashtra was indeed the second husband of Gandhari. He went into a rage and decided to kill the entire family of Subala so that the secret of Gandhari's second marriage did not become public. Instead of killing them, Bhishma imprisoned Subala and his family, but he ordered that food will be given only for one person so that the whole family would eventually die of starvation. This action of Bhishma infuriated Subala further, and his resolve to take revenge became stronger. Subala and his sons decided to give all the food available to Shakuni so that he could live and execute the revenge plan. Subala made Shakuni promise that he will avenge the insult heaped on the Gandhar king and his family by Bhishma. Gradually, the remaining four sons died, leaving only Subala and Shakuni. Just before his death, Subala cracked the ankle of Shakuni's foot with his sword, which resulted in a permanent disability to Shakuni in walking. Subala told Shakuni, "Whenever you face difficulty in walking due to this broken ankle, remember what Bhishma did to your brothers and father and never forgive him. Take revenge on Bhishma. After I die, take my finger bones and turn them into dice. Those dice will be filled with my uncontrollable anger, and those dice will give whatever result you want, and you will always win in the game of dice." Then Subala died. The lonely Shakuni cleverly moved over to Hastinapur, and we all know how systematically Shakuni manipulated the Kauravas, culminating in Bhishma being put on the deathbed of arrows on the 10th day of the war. Shakuni himself died on the 18th day, but he succeeded in fulfilling the promise he made to his father to avenge the insult heaped upon them by Bhishma. Friends, this is the story of Shakuni and his magic dice. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramani sir. It was a very interesting story, and the story of a revenge. There are many stories in the world of revenges like this, but this was really an interesting story. Entire the episode of Mahabharata is resting on this particular story. It is the implicit story of an revenge and avenge by a negative strategy. I couldn't, whatever you call it, revengeful strategy or a negative strategy by a person called Rocket. Thank you for enlightening us. It was a very, very interesting talk. Thanks a lot, sir. May I request the next participant, Samata Sengupta madam, to please come and share her views.
Thank you very much. And before I start, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Before I start, I like to request my husband 1 minute extra, please. Please. So, friends, this time my topic is same as before: accidental discoveries. And I am telling a few extra stories now. And to start with, I will tell about penicillin. So, Dr. Alexander Fleming, once he wanted to go for a vacation. So, before going for the vacation, lab ko, he is a bit careless lab person. So, sub dishes में ऐसे ही cultures, chemical cultures, mixes and all, everything ऐसे ही छोड़ के he went on for vacation. Then, after 2 weeks, when he entered the lab after vacation, he was surprised. He was surprised to notice that in a particular dish, a mold appeared, and that mold killed the bacteria surrounding it. So he was amazed and he did some more research work on that particular point, and he discovered penicillin. And now penicillin is responsible, penicillin is saved millions of the lives of the people around the world from bacterial infections. And now my second story is quinine, a very interesting story. Okay. A South American Indian was lost in jungle and he was having high temperature. So he wanted to drink water. He was पानी के लिए ढूंढ रहा था वो कहाँ पानी मिलेगा. Then इसको एक pool मिला था and that from that pool he drank water. And that pool is on the base of a cinchona tree. And after drinking the water, that water was very bitter. And surprisingly, the fever was totally gone. And he narrated his this particular incident to his fellow people. And the local people started, whenever temperature is there, come either drink the water or वो tree bark थोड़ा खाते हैं और fever चले जाता है. And from generations to generations, this story passed on. And later, the quinine, the anti-malaria medicine is discovered. Very interesting, है ना? And the next story is, this also is very interesting. The next story is anesthesia. You all may be knowing the nitrous oxide is known as a laughing gas. Okay. So long back, nitrous oxide is used in laughing parties or on stage shows. So once it happened, the friend of a dentist, he took too much of nitrous oxide. The stuff he has consumed a lot. And on the stage show, he started laughing as usual. And suddenly, because of that high dose, he fell down from the stage. The dentist was observing and he fell down from the stage and he couldn't feel the pain at all. So from that time onwards, the era of anesthesia started. Interesting, hai na? And my next story is about Vaseline. Okay. One chemist was investigating about oil fields and oil wells and all. एक oil well के पास पेंसिल्वेनिया में he came to a oil well and फिर वहां का वर्कर्स उनसे बात कर रहे थे and वो बोल रहे थे कि the petroleum drilling pipes were always blocked because of a wax like rod substance is forming always. And this chemist keenly observed that the workers who are working there, they are taking the wax-like substance and they are applying it on their wounds and on their cuts. He keenly observed, and this accidental discovery of this chemist led to the discovery of Vaseline, and now we all use Vaseline during winters and all, hai na? And now the last one is cornflakes. Fellow brothers, they were working in a sanatorium. They wanted to prepare a rich diet for the patients in the hospital. Okay. Then they had taken wheat, गेहूं का आटा लिए थे. They started boiling it. But they have forgotten to switch off the stove. So wheat overboiled हो गया था. Then after the total thing is taken out of the stove, their wheat they have seen that wheat is turned into flakes. फिर उन्होंने these wheat flakes को baking किया था, ओवन में डाल के bake किए थे. This formed into crispy and crunchy flake, and it was very very tasty. So later the wheat is replaced with corn. And cornflakes started from that time onwards, and cornflakes is now the breakfast for the millions and millions of people around the world. So these stories and all are very interesting to me, and I guess all you people also might have found the stories interesting. Thank you very much for the patient listening. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for that enlightenment on the accidental discoveries. In fact, if one looks at the history of these accidental discoveries or history of the breakthrough discoveries, what we talk about all over the world, it may not be applicable for the last 100 years, but if one goes back beyond 100 years, almost all the discoveries have been more of an intuitive actions by individuals, and that is accidental, more by intuitive actions by the individuals rather than rational thinking. So it was more of a combination of both the right brain and the left brain, which led to the many of these accidental discoveries, and these stories tell us that thing. Thank you very much, Samantha madam. May I request now हमारे next participant, thank you. Next participant हमारे मोदी साहब. मोदी साहब, आपका आमंत्रण है.
मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
आ रही है सर.
Today I am going to talk about the greenhouse effect. As we know, whole world is suffering from global warming and drastic climate change. Greenhouse effect plays a vital role in climate change and global warming. Before knowing greenhouse effect, you must know the greenhouse gases. The primary greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are carbon dioxide, water vapor, methane, ozone, and nitrous oxide that retain much of the heat. Greenhouse gases act as a blanket to the earth. Solar heat radiation reaches earth and re-radiated back into the space. In natural phenomenon, more re-radiated heat escapes into the space, crossing blanket of the greenhouse gases, and less heat trapped in greenhouse gases remitted to earth to keep the earth warm, sufficient to support life on the earth. Greenhouse effect is the trapping of sun radiation in the lower atmosphere. The natural greenhouse effect is essential for sustaining life on the earth. The effect of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is intensified due to the emission of harmful gases in the atmosphere by mankind. This increases the temperature of the earth, leading to global warming and change in climate. Now, I will talk how these greenhouse gases are present and intensified in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide. The chief source of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere include man-made activities such as clearing of land, burning of fossil fuels, and industrial processes. But natural sources such as volcanoes, respiration by oxygen-using organisms, combustion and decay of organic matter also add the carbon dioxide. As the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere rises due to man-made activities, not by natural activities, atmosphere is polluted and harmful, and the ocean water becomes acidic, absorbing a lot of it and threatening the oceanic wildlife. Now, water vapor. The warmer the climate on the earth, the greater evaporation of water from the earth's surface, resulting in concentration of this powerful greenhouse gas. The methane. The source of methane include volcanoes, wetlands, seepage vents, methane oxidizing bacteria, livestock farming, burning of natural gases and coal, decomposition of landfills, biomass combustion, and so on. The natural sink for this gas is soil and atmosphere. Then nitrous oxide and fluorinated gases. Fluorinated gases are man-made and not natural due to industrial processes. The sources of nitrous oxide include bacteria inside, livestock waste management, and use of fertilizers in agriculture. Then ozone. Ozone is a harmful air pollutants produced in the atmosphere when contaminants are released by vehicles, power plants, chemical plants, industrial boilers, refiners, and other such sources chemically react in the presence of sun radiation. So, greater the emission of greenhouse gases, greater the concentration in the atmosphere. Each gas impacts differently. Some are more effective than others, making Earth warmer and change in climate. Several aspects of environment are changing due to climate change. That is, warmer climate, rising sea level, droughts, floods, and so on. It will impact Earth for centuries, and we must be ready for the adverse effects of climate change in future if we still overlook the extent of damage it has caused. Efforts should be made to prevent the emission of greenhouse gases. Thank you.
मोदी साहब, आपने ग्रीन हाउस गैसेज जो कि काफी टेक्निकल टर्म है, उसको काफी इजीली आपने समझाया. Only point is, I think, very well taken, that it is our duty of this generation for the posterity, for the future generations. और अगर हमारी ड्यूटी है कि हम प्लैनेट को बचा के रखाएं हमारी फ्यूचर जनरेशंस के लिए, तो हमको वो करना पड़ेगा जिससे कि ग्रीन हाउस गैस एमिशन कम हो, जिससे कि व्हाट यू कॉल क्लाइमेट चेंज के ऊपर में कंट्रोल पाया जा सके, जिससे कि दुनिया जो वार्म हो रही है, जो भी 1.5 डिग्रीज बोलिए, 2 डिग्रीज बोलिए, जो ईयर हो रही है, दैट इज कंट्रोल डाउन, बिकॉज इफ दैट डजंट हैपन, द फ्यूचर ऑफ द प्लैनेट इज एट स्टेक. सो द टॉक वाज वेरी अभी भारत भूषण जी ने लिखा, चैट पेज काफी इंफॉर्मेटिव था, और हम सबको इस टॉक से यही सीखना चाहिए what we can do as citizens of the country to control the emission of the greenhouse. Thank you, Modi ji, very much. मैं नेक्स्ट वादन पर आमंत्रित करता हूँ. हमारे मित्र अभी दिखाई दे रहे हैं, हाथ जोड़कर हंस भी रहे हैं. नवीन दुग्गल जी.
गुड इवनिंग, नमस्कार सबको. पहले महाशिवरात्रि की बधाई हो. मैं इतना सबका शुक्रगुजार हूँ, थैंकफुल हूँ, ग्रेटिट्यूड है. Each one of you has brought, not each and every one, every soul, every body, every mind, whoever we have met together so far, we have celebrated and shared the joys, we have shared the sorrows. और मैं तो कहता हूँ कि हर दिन महाशिवरात्रि का दिन है. जैसे कि लड़ाई उधर हो रही है रशिया की, या ये कोविड की वजह से हमें नींद नहीं आ रही है, तो एक नेचुरल फैक्टर है. मैं उसके बारे में नहीं कहूँगा, बट सम इम्पोर्टेंट हाईलाइट्स कि कुछ चीजें हम कैसे अचीव कर सकते हैं. तो मेरा मेन टॉपिक है, लेट्स लुक with awareness, let's love what we are accepting it, though we are negatively programmed, डर के वजह से, भय के वजह से कि फ्यूचर इज अनसर्टन, उसको मत ध्यान देते हुए अगर हम अपने आप को पहचान लें कि मैं क्या चीज हूँ, with awareness, that awareness is pure consciousness, that is pure love, that is pure happiness, that is the nature of our Atman. Whereas the worldly situations and how we face these situations, or till whatever we come and whatever future भी जाएंगे, उसकी हमें थोड़ी reorganize करना पड़ता है. So far we had learned from childhood to work, married, all that, blah blah. You all know about it. You have quite experience. I did not speak about it. So time is that single biggest ingredient for creative work. What does it mean? It doesn't mean कि अरे हमें interest नहीं है, क्योंकि सर सेनगुप्ता सर ने इतना अच्छा हमें एक प्लेटफॉर्म दिया बोलने के लिए, तो उसके लिए मैं सिर्फ आभारी नहीं कहूँगा. First you should tap yourself कि I can face it. I am fearless and I am going to do it. तो जब हम छोटे छोटे एक्टिविटीज में अपना इंटरेस्ट और रीऑर्गेनाइज नहीं करेंगे, तो we can't achieve anything. But we can only achieve if we have a little plan or a book or somewhere to write and then follow it up. हम बोलते बहुत कुछ हैं, बहुत ख्याल आता है, अच्छा भी लग रहा है, म्यूजिक भी अच्छा लग रहा है खाने का, फिर भी हम भूल जाते हैं. It's not because of we are not channelizing not the time but our breath, our activities in the right way. So Lord, today being the Mahashivratri may make time. How do you focus on what matters every day and every moment? Uske siwai just do it. Build a smart habit that sticks, and optimize your energy by food habits, sleeping habit, exercise habits. whatever good you feel, but do it in limitation. दूसरे कर रहे हैं तो मुझे नहीं करना, ऐसा नहीं है. Even taking medicine, I have observed many people are undergoing aging and all that, and diabetics, blood pressure, blah blah, काफी problems है. But they fail to understand and tell the physician or the doctor, I have a hearing aid problem, I can't listen well, so don't give me a very strong medicine that it may harm permanent hearing loss. This one factor we have overlooked. तो कई बार हस्बैंड वाइफ जब झगड़ा होता है, कुछ भी होता है, वो बोलते हैं सुनते हो, बोले सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है, सुनती हो, नहीं सुनाई दे रहा है. ये क्यों प्रॉब्लम आ रही है? It is not that they don't love or understand each other, it is the lack of the gap that we have taken it for granted. अब बस टाइम खत्म हो गया, खलास. लेकिन महाशिवरात्रि के दिन तो हम कहते हैं सावधान, अलर्ट रहो, आगे बढ़ो, कुछ करो, अरे प्राणायाम करो, ये करो, वो करो. करते करते हम क्या करते हैं? We are enjoying that moment to listen. But my point is, focus it with awareness. Do a little bit of activity. और जितना हो गया ठीक है, नहीं हुआ छोड़ दो. Don't be football of others. But at the same time, take an initiative to do self-improvement plan. And health plan हो, spiritual plan हो, wealth plan हो, जो हो गया, खत्म हो गया. आज के दिन में खुशी कैसे पैदा कर सकता हूँ? अगर मैं अंदर से खुश रहूंगा, चैन से सोऊंगा, खुशी से एक्सप्रेशन दूंगा, ये मेरा मतलब ये नहीं कि मैं एक्टिंग कर रहा हूँ, बट रियलिटी में किसी को हेल्प कर सकता हूँ, किसी को एडवाइस कर सकता हूँ, किसी से टेलीफोन करें. सो द अदर साइड इज डोंट पुट ऑन द फॉरवर्डेड मैसेज. सर कह के थक गए, लेकिन हमारे ओल्ड पीपल में एक प्रॉब्लम है, जैसे कि हमारे सांसों में प्रॉब्लम है, यूरिनेशन रात को उठ के 2-3 बार जाते हैं, तो हमारा स्टॉप वाला जो वॉल्स है, वही माइंड के थॉट का वॉल खत्म बंद हो गया है, हम बोलते ही जाते हैं without thinking कि दूसरों का टाइम मत खोटी करो. So with that, I would just like to sum that you have all the ingredients. So welcome anything which is negative or positive. Stay with awareness and practice and little bit of courage and patience. Patience बहुत जरूरी है. अगर हम वो patiently practice नहीं करेंगे, तो मेरा बोलने का कोई मतलब नहीं है. इसलिए जब भी मैं कुछ कहता हूँ तो कुछ भी बोलता रहता हूँ, वही हिस्ट्री से देखो, साइंस से देखो, ज्योग्राफी देखो, वगैरह वगैरह. लेकिन मेन इंपॉर्टेंट है आवर फीलिंग, दैट गुड वाला फीलिंग हमारे अपने अंदर निर्भर होता है. थैंक यू वेरी मच. जय शिवरात्रि.
थैंक्स अ लॉट. रविंद्र दुग्गल जी, पहली बार देखा आप बहुत फिलोसॉफिकली बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन काफी अच्छी बात की आपने. दैट अवेयरनेस के साथ में अच्छी हैबिट्स के साथ में अच्छी प्लान and practice, but at the same time keeping your own limitations in mind and keep focus, and most importantly have patience in your life, because everything you will not get immediately. It's not possible. So have a patience. काफी अच्छी thought provoking talk थी आपकी. काफी धन्यवाद दुग्गल जी, बहुत धन्यवाद. नया रिक्वेस्ट नाउ हमारे वेटरन मेंबर जो कि हर एक बार बात करते रहते हैं, इनके अग्रवाल साहब. सर आइए.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta. First of all, MRL and Dr. Gupta for giving me this platform to share some thoughts with you. Now, my thoughts are very common in nature. What makes you happy? Apparently, money, position, better cars, and various other material possessions. But do they really? Temporarily, yes, but perhaps not, as they create more to have more and more types or better types. So what is it that makes you happy? If you recall, we made a trip to one old age home in Panvel, spent some time with the patients, made them play games with us, see a smile on every individual's face, and all of us were also happy. Am I audible, sir?
हाँ, ऑडिबल. थोड़ा सा इको आ रहा है, थोड़ा सा जोर से बात करिए, थोड़ा सा सामने आ जाइए.
Hello, hello, hello.
या सुनाई दे रहा है.
Thank you very much. On next time, when we went to another home, we happily contributed some money to buy ration materials for the home, spent some time with them, gave a program, and they also participated in it. All of them were jubilant, and so were we, having done something good. And this is where the true happiness comes in. Happiness is all within yourself. It's all within yourself. And unless you want to feel happy, nobody can make you happy. We are not happy with what we have got, unhappy, and feel miserable for what we do not have. Happiness comes from helping somebody in need, be it money, food, education, buying medicines, giving donation to organizations that are doing good for elderly people and so on. We are happily provided, we have happily provided food and shelter to the security guards recently during Corona pandemic. Material possessions do not make us feel happy, as we desire to have more and more. Happiness comes from within. Happiness comes from contentment. Unless we feel contented, nothing can make us feel happy. You may be aware that Bhutan is quoted as one of the happiest countries in the world. Why? It is because Bhutanis are a very contented lot. And
आवाज नहीं आ रही.
हेलो हेलो
आवाज नहीं आ रही.
आवाज नहीं आ रही है.
थोड़ा साउंड डिस्टरबेंस आ रहा है, साउंड का डिस्टरबेंस आ रहा है.
हेलो हेलो
साउंड का डिस्टरबेंस आ रहा है.
Excuse me, I'll try once again. Hello.
हेलो.
Is it better now?
Much better, much better.
अब ठीक है.
Yes sir, please go ahead. Please go ahead. उसको मत पहनिए आप शुरू कर. नहीं, उसको मत पहनिए. Don't put on. No, don't put on that.
Okay.
Remove that one.
I remove.
Yes. नहीं, ऑफ करिए, ऑफ करके ऑन करिए.
Hello.
म्यूट कर दीजिए.
Are you able to hear me, sir? Hello. Hello.
अग्रवाल जी हेडसेट कहाँ? You are muted.
Am I audible now? Hello.
Lot of sound is coming. Lot of sound.
Hello.
हेडसेट निकाल के बात करके देखिए, लेकिन म्यूट मत कीजिए.
Hello.
अग्रवाल जी, आप अपने लॉग आउट करके लॉग इन करिए. We go for the next speaker. You can log out and log in. आप अग्रवाल जी, आप लॉग आउट कर जाइए. प्लीज लॉग आउट. प्लीज गो आउट ऑफ द मीटिंग. या may I request you go out. अग्रवाल जी, प्लीज गो आउट ऑफ द मीटिंग एंड लॉग इन अगेन. आप बाहर चले जाइए. May I request I think there is some problem. May I request the next speaker, Chandrakant Raneji, to please come.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
सभी को मेरा नमस्कार. आज का टॉपिक है जीवन में खुश कैसे रहे, हैप्पी कैसे रहे. खुशी वह है जिसे शब्दों में वर्णन करना मुश्किल है. इसे केवल महसूस किया जा सकता है. अच्छा जीवन जीने के लिए खुश होना बेहद जरूरी है. अलग अलग लोगों के पास खुशी के विचार है. कुछ लोग मानते हैं कि खुशी पैसे में पाई जा सकती है. कुछ लोग प्यार में होते हैं तो खुशी का अनुभव महसूस करते हैं. अपनी इच्छाओं की पूर्ति से लोग खुश हो जाते हैं. किसी को अचानक लाभ होने से खुशी मिलती है. लेकिन दुर्भाग्य से ज्यादातर लोगों के जीवन में खुशी गायब हो चुकी है. आजकल ये देखने को मिलता है कि ज्यादातर लोगों के अंदर स्ट्रेस, टेंशन, डिप्रेशन, गुस्सा, ये सारी चीजें लोगों के लाइफ में बढ़ गई है. तो मैं यहाँ एक स्मॉल स्टोरी कहना चाहता हूँ. उसे अपने अंदर की निगेटिव एनर्जी जीवन में से दूर करने के लिए और प्रेजेंट मोमेंट को एंजॉय करने के लिए हेल्प मिलेगा. एक व्यक्ति अपने गुरु के पास जाता है और अपनी जीवन की सारी परेशानी के बारे में गुरु जी से बात करता है और ढेर सारी परेशानी का समाधान गुरु से मांगता है। गुरु उस वक्त कुछ जवाब नहीं देता है, पर कहता है, बेटा यहाँ नजदीक एक गुलाब का गार्डन है, मैं चाहता हूं कि आप सबसे पहले वहां पे जाइए और एक गुलाब का फूल लेके आइए, लेकिन मेरी 2 शर्तें हैं, उसका पालन करना होगा। पहली शर्त है कि इस गार्डन में से सबसे ताजा, खूबसूरत, खिला हुआ खुशबूदार गुलाब लाना है, और दूसरी शर्त यह है कि गुलाब के प्लांट के लाइन में जब आप आगे गुलाब देखने को बढ़ेंगे तो एक बार आगे बढ़ने के बाद आप वापस पीछे मुड़कर गुलाब चुन नहीं सकते, आगे बढ़ना है। और गुलाब के पौधे की लाइन कंप्लीट होने से पहले आपको सबसे बड़ा खुशबूदार गुलाब चुनकर लाना है। वो व्यक्ति गुरु की आज्ञा का पालन करके गार्डन में जाता है और जाते ही उसको पहले एक अच्छा गुलाब दिखाई देता है, लेकिन सोचता है कि आगे का गुलाब इससे भी ज्यादा खूबसूरत होगा। वो लाइन में आगे बढ़ते गया और भी अच्छे अच्छे गुलाब उसके नजर में आते हैं, पर वो मन ही मन में सोचता है कि इसके आगे और अच्छा गुलाब हो सकता है। 4-5 मिनट के अंदर पूरा गुलाब के प्लांट का लाइन कंप्लीट हो जाता है और सबसे लास्ट गुलाब का पौधा उसके पास बचता है, जहां पर उतना बड़ा खिला हुआ फ्रेश खुशबूदार गुलाब नहीं था जो उसने पहले उस गार्डन में देखा था। पर उसके पास अभी कोई चॉइस नहीं था, तो उसने वही पौधे से गुलाब चुनकर गुरु के पास जाता है। गुरु ने पूछा, क्या ये सबसे बड़ा खुशबूदार फ्रेश खिला हुआ गुलाब जो तूने गार्डन में देखा वो है? वो व्यक्ति बोला, नहीं, इससे भी ज्यादा अच्छे गुलाब मैंने गार्डन में देखे थे, पर मैंने अपने मन ही मन में सोचा कि आगे शायद अच्छा गुलाब मिलेगा। वही सोच में आगे बढ़ता गया और यह गुलाब लेके आया। तभी गुरुजी वो व्यक्ति को समझाते हैं कि भविष्य में कुछ अच्छा मिलेगा, उस राह में तूने उस समय जो बेस्ट गुलाब उसको तूने अवॉइड किया। इसी तरह ज्यादातर तेरे लाइफ में जितनी भी परेशानी है जो तूने बताई, अपने बीवी के बारे में, बिजनेस के बारे में, परिवार के बारे में, दोस्तों के बारे में, सारी की सारी परेशानियां जीवन में उसी का कारण है। जो अच्छा मोमेंट है जो तूने एंजॉय नहीं किया, कल बेहतर होगा उसी की राह में। आज तो तेरे पास जो कुछ अच्छा मिला उसको उसने तुमने मिस किया। शायद हम भी अपने जीवन को लेकर बहुत सारा स्ट्रेस, टेंशन, डिप्रेशन फील करते हैं। दुखी रहने से सिर्फ मानसिक तनाव बढ़ता है, बल्कि आपको कई तरह की सेहत संबंधित समस्या भी आ सकती है। हर इंसान अपने जीवन में चाहता है कि वह अपना जीवन अच्छी तरह से जिए और उसके जीवन में किसी की तरह की कोई परेशानी न आए तथा वो हमेशा खुश रहे। खुश रहने से बहुत सारे फायदे हैं। तो दोस्तों, अपने मन ही मन में पूछना, जीवन का ताजा खिला हुआ खुशबूदार गुलाब क्या है? वो गुलाब कौन है? कौन सी चीज है जिसको लेकर आप ऊपर वाले से पूरे दिल से थैंक यू कहना चाहते हैं? शायद अपना लाइफ पार्टनर, अपने बच्चे, शायद माता पिता जिन्होंने अपने ऊपर अच्छे संस्कार दिए हैं। ऐसे बहुत सारी अच्छाई है जिसके ऊपर आज से ही ध्यान देना चालू करें। तो मुझे ये लगता है कि आपके जीवन का बेस्ट गुलाब यानी खुशबूदार गुलाब क्या है, यानी आपका हैप्पीनेस क्या है, आपको अभी मिलेगा। वो आपके जीवन में ढेर सारी खुशियां लाएगा। थैंक यू वेरी मच सर।
बहुत धन्यवाद। बहुत ही अच्छी मीनिंगफुल स्टोरी आपने बोली। लाइफ अनसर्टेन है, तो यू नीड टू लिव टुडे रादर देन वेटिंग फॉर टुमारो। सेकंड, द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, जो आपको आज के दिन में आपको इन्वेस्टिगेट करना चाहिए, आज के दिन में क्या आपको मोस्ट खुशबूदार गुलाब कौन सा है, वेदर इट इज योर पेरेंट्स, वेदर इट इज चिल्ड्रन, वेदर इट्स वाइफ, लाइफ पार्टनर, सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ, और उसी को लेके आप लाइफ एंजॉय करिए। सो दैट्स अ वेरी वेरी मीनिंगफुल एंड थॉटफुल स्टोरी। थैंक यू वेरी मच चंद्रकांत, वेरी गुड स्टोरी।
थैंक यू सर।
May I request next speaker, Mr. Jairam ji?
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. The title I given for my talk is 80-year-olds in 2 different centuries. I took up this topic because, inshallah, I may reach 80 very shortly. And when my grandfather touched 80, I was in my pre-teen. At that point, I was too young and lacked any knowledge about life in general, and especially those of seniors. Yet, I am trying to compare seniors at 80 separated by 7 decades. We now give importance to exercise, diet, being in groups, interacting with family, hobbies, good living habits, etc. What was it like for my grandfather at that time? I had never seen my Dadaji exercising or doing yoga. Walking was zero, probably because of osteoarthritis. At that time, I can't think of any hobbies he could have had. Maybe music, but those were the days when even a radio was a luxury. He was literate only in Tamil and used to devour the Tamil newspaper daily. Maybe he used to go to an occasional Tamil movie. Just like today, everyone in the house was always busy in their own activities, and none of us ever interacted with. All interactions for him were only need-based, his needs. I think nobody had any need for him. I don't know how he was in his 60s and 70s. Maybe he was different. Maybe he was more active. Only Amma could have had some interaction with him because she was the one who was always housebound. But she was so busy, she hardly had any time. And in any case, as per the norm of those days, the interaction between those two was always yes, no, या और कुछ चाहिए. उससे ज़्यादा I don't think there was any communication. Medical facilities were rudiment. No specialists, few hospitals. And even otherwise, the GP who used to provide medical attention must have been educated in 1930s. Probably Dadaji must have had many medical problems for which there were no remedies at that time. His life must have been very tough. Was my Dadaji unique, particularly regarding not exercising, not having friends, not meeting people, being aloof within the family, etc.? Was it the norm of those days? I have no idea. The game changers, as far as we are concerned, in the last 7 decades were education. At least our elders made sure that we all got educated well. In addition to that, there is a sea change in technology. The technology has improved so much. And over and above everything, we are lucky to be in an age when there has been a stupendous economic development in the country. The GDP has grown multi-bound. Education opens our horizon. Luckily, our generation got educated. Advance in technology and medicine has enhanced our quality of life. Continuous rise in GDP during our lifetime has a cascading effect and improved our status. Lot of things have happened in the last 70 years, which has blessed us with a quality of life which was not available to the elders at that time. But somebody can ask, are you happy today? Do you have any problems? Yes, we do have problems. Who doesn't have problems? Yet, I should say, at least as far as I'm concerned, we're all reasonably happy. And we are leading a much better life as compared to the seniors in the 1950s. Suppose by chance, if somebody had asked such a question to my Dadaji at that time, and all probability, he also would have given the same answer. If he starts thinking about his Dadaji in the 19th century, he says, compared to him, my life is much, much better. Life goes on. Be happy. Enjoy your life. Thank you very much. And I thank for the opportunity given to me for this small talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jairam Sahab, I think that was an excellent comparison of two generations of seniors who are 70 years distant. You rightly said that today we have got a lot more, quality of life is much better. Whatever may be the reason, health facilities, the educational facilities, economic development, more money, more better jobs, whatever it is actually, but the quality of the life is much better. But as you rightly said that the life is a story, generation to generation, things are totally different. Things are completely changing from generation to generation. And every generation seniors think that they are possibly better off than the earlier generation. But we don't have any answer to this particular intriguing question. Who is more happy or who was more happy? But thank you very much for insightful talk.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Before we go to the last speaker, Anand Saxena, may I request once again, N.K. Agarwal Sahab would like to come back? N.K. Agarwal Sahab?
I will come, sir.
Yeah, please come, please come. You're now purely audible.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you're audible now. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So, I'm sorry actually that I got disturbed actually because of the sound, and I'm coming again. So let me once again thank MRL for giving me this opportunity, and Dr. Sengupta once again to give me this opportunity. I'm going to share my thoughts on some very common topic. What makes you happy? Apparently, money, position, better cars, and various other material possessions. But do they really? Temporarily, yes, but perhaps not, as they create desire to have more or better time. So what is it that makes you happy? If you recall, we made a trip to one old age home in Panvel. We spent some time with the dementia patients, made them play games with us. You could see a smile on every individual's face, and all of us were feeling happy. Next time we went to another home, we happily contributed some money to buy ration materials for the home, spent some time with them, and gave a program. They also participated in it. And all of them were jubilant, and so were we, having done something good. And this is where the true happiness comes in. Happiness is all within yourself. And unless you want to feel happy, nobody can make you happy. We are not happy with what we have got, but unhappy and feel miserable for what we do not have. Happiness comes from helping somebody in need, be it money, food, education, buying medicine, giving donations to organizations that are doing good for the elderly people, and so on. We very happily provided food and shelter to the security guards recently during Corona pandemic. Material possessions do not make us feel happy. As we desire to have more and more, happiness comes from within. Happiness comes from contentment. Unless we feel contented, nothing can make us feel happy. You may be aware that Bhutan is quoted as one of the happiest countries in the world. Why? It's because Bhutanese are a very contented lot and are satisfied with what they have got. A devotee went to Buddha and prayed, I want happiness. Buddha told him, it's very simple. First, you remove the word want. That leaves I, happiness. Now remove I from it, and you are now left with happiness. It is the I want, which is the root cause of our being unhappy. We want everything, but for ourselves only to be happy. The search for happiness is an endless journey in a person's life. The main point is to look for positive interactions and change the way we feel regardless of the circumstances of life. The way to happiness is within us and depends on us. Sensitive and caring people naturally want the people around them also to be happy, and looking out for others is typically believed to be a character strength. Taking responsibility for others' happiness sometimes causes anxiety. The issue usually starts out innocently enough. For a whole host of reasons, we care and we want others to be happy and feel that the responsibility for their happiness rests on our shoulders. That's why we end up doing everything in our power to ensure that they are happy. However, the people we care about often still end up unhappy, since suffering is an inevitable part of life. When we worry too much about the happiness of others, we become more and more worried with an endless stream of anxiety. At this stage, you have to realize the fact that you can never be fully responsible for the happiness of others, regardless of how much you worry about it. So, friends, the thought that I wish to share with you is to feel happy with what we have got. God has given us enough, so let us be happy and enjoy. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you Agarwal साहब, बहुत अच्छा बात किया. Particularly the thing which you talked about, that we are normally not happy with what we have, but we are never happy with what we have. You know, we are always unhappy with what we don't have. You know, so that's the human psychology, and that creates the whole problem. If we really remain happy and contented, and second we talk about the causal relationship between contentedness and happiness. That you cannot be happy if you are not contented, and therefore you must be contented with what you have, and that will automatically lead to the happiness. And therefore happiness is more of a state of mind, internal, rather than looking an external way. I think that was an extremely good talk. Highly appreciates that.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
And we come to the last speaker of the day, Anand Saxena. Saxena sir, आइए.
Am I able?
Yeah. Please go ahead. Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Today I am going to share one thing which most of the persons may not know. Of course, MRL persons may be knowing. Calligraphy. It is the art of writing beautifully with a special pen, ink, or brush. Our Constitution of India is the largest one of all the countries of the world. Everybody knows it. Dr. Ambedkar sir drafted it, that also everybody knows. But only some of the persons know that it was handwritten also, calligraphically. Prem Bihari Narayan Raizada Saxena of Delhi, he wrote a huge book of entire constitution in italic styles with his own handwriting. Prem Bihari Saxena was famous calligraphy writer of that time. He was born on 16th December 1901 in the family of a renowned handwriting researcher in Delhi. He lost his parents at a very young age, and he was brought up by his grandfather and by his uncle Chatur Bihari Narayan Saxena and his grandfather Ram Prasad Saxena. His grandfather Ram Prasad Saxena was calligrapher. He used to teach calligraphy art to Prem Bihari from an early age for the beautiful handwriting. After graduating from Stephen College, Delhi, Prem Bihari started practicing calligraphy art learned from his grandfather. When the constitution was ready for printing, the then Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he summoned Prem Bihari Lal Saxena, and he wanted him to write the Constitution of India in his own handwriting, calligraphically, in italic letters, and after that, instead of printing. When Pandit Nehru asked him what fees he would charge, Prem Bihari told Pandit Nehru not a single penny, but he made a request to Nehruji. He got reservation, and that on every page of the constitution, in the corner of the page, he will write his name. And the last page, he will write his name along with his grandfather and who taught him the calligraphy. Pandit Nehru accepted it, and after accepting, he was given a house and to write the constitution. Before starting writing, Prem Bihari Saxena came to Shanti Niketan on 29th November 1949 with the President of India, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, at the behest of Nehruji. There they discussed with the famous painter Nandalal Bose and decided how and with part of leaf, that is page, Prem Bihari would write the constitution. because he wanted to know what type of paper they should use so that it should not deteriorate, it should not get spoiled with the lapse of time. And Nandlal Vasu would decorate the rest of the blank part of the leaf. The impeccable imagery like Ramayana, Mahabharata, life of Gautam Buddha, Nidai Swashan Bose, and all. Yeah, he wanted to paint the imagery of these persons. Then Ram Manohar Sinha and Nandalal Bose, they also sketched the emblem for the government of India's award, Bharat Ratna and Padam Shri. And these images were depicted in the constitution on the border, and border was painted by Nandalal Basu. For that, for painting this, Ram Manohar Sinha, he went to Ajanta, Ellora, then Sanchi, and so many places, Mahabalipuram, and he depicted the images of Airavat, Ash, and yeah, he did it. Now, the whole constitution, it contains 251 pages of parchment paper and had to be used to write constitution. Its weight is 3 kg 650 grams, and the page length and width is 22 inches by 16 inches. This handwritten constitution is kept in the library of the Parliament House. Under the specific conditions, nitrogen filled chamber is there. They have kept it along with the they have controlled some temperature also, plus minus 20 degree, and humidity control also, so that it should not get spoiled. And one thing is very good, in no page there is no cutting, chipping, there is no overwriting, there is no smuggling of paint and all. Everything is very distinct. It is kept in the Parliament House. So it was written by Ram Bihari Narayan Raizada Saxena. And one thing personal I want to share with you. My mother, Srimati Suchila Devi Saxena, she was born in Delhi and brought up in Delhi only. And Prem Bihari Saxena was her cousin brother. Thank you very much, sir. This is information I got. Thank you, sir.
बहुत बढ़िया. I think that was an excellent thing, and also to know the close relationship which your mother shared with such a great person. Prem Bihari Raja Saxena is a very, very eminent person, you know. And you talked about a very, very interesting thing, that he put the condition with the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru that he will write his name on each page. And he told that I will write my name along with my grandfather's name on the last page. The last page, there are 2 names actually, his name as well as his grandfather's name. And every page has his name. So that's a great insightful story. You know, calligraphy is a sir.
Yes, sir.
Calligraphy.
You can visit these pages on Google. In the corner of each page, you can write small name is written over there.
Yes.
It took 6 months to write the Constitution of India.
It's a very, very interesting and insightful story. It's one of those stories which probably some of us have read in the childhood actually, but actually we forgot about the story. So this is a very, very reigniting, very, very nice story. Very, very nice. Thank you very much, Anand Saxena.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So I think with this, we come to the end of this particular version of the Sabke Suno. It was a highly interesting talk on variety of topics. People spoke about it. We are thankful to everybody. We look forward to the next version of the Sabke Suno program in the month of April. Thank you very much for being with us today. Thanks a lot.